A lot of people worry that Iceland is way too crowded in the summer, but that's not really the case. Yes, the popular spots get packed, but if you drive just a couple of minutes off the main tourist trail, you will often have the place to yourself. In all my years of living here, my experience rarely looks like the typical tourist crowds. 99% of the time, it looks more like this. And in this video, I just want to have a little chat and tell you why Iceland isn't crowded the way that you might think and how to find that peace and solitude that you are probably hoping to experience. So I'm currently traveling in the East Fjords, collecting footage for my new videos and exploring new places to add to my travel guide. And it suddenly struck me, how come that my experience of Iceland is so drastically different from what most tourists experience here. And the reason I started thinking about this in the first place is because of all these discussions online and also the comments under my content, from people saying that how much has Iceland changed and why this is the reason that they'll never come here and visit again. And let me tell you, I understand where they are coming from. The days when you could travel around Iceland and have what are now the most popular places all to yourself are over. And I have shown you this before. A photo of me at Gullfoss back in 2015. Completely alone compared to 2023 when it was packed. And now imagine that you are someone who traveled here, like in early 2000s and then returned just to find all these places completely packed. Honestly, I think that my reaction would probably be the same. Heck, even when I was just driving past Hverir, which is this geothermal area here in North Iceland, my jaw completely dropped when I saw how many people was actually there. And that's considering that the north is actually way less crowded than, for example, south. And of course, there are ways to avoid it. You can travel in early hours or late at night, or you can even completely flip your schedule and sleep during the day and travel during the night because the nights stay completely bright in the summer. But the truth is that these solutions aren't always completely practical for majority of people traveling here. And yes, you could come here during the winter, which is the quiet period, but that is a completely different kind of experience altogether. And so what is the solution? Well, even though I would love to recommend that you simply drive to one of these remote locations around Iceland and you simply spend most of your time there. I know that 90% of you probably won't listen, that's the one thing. And I also understand that this probably isn't the kind of experience that you are hoping to have. And I know that most of you probably want to come here, drive around the entire island and see as much as you can in probably a limited time. And that comes with some trade-offs. You see, if you have a week, for example, and you decide to drive around the entire ring road and plan your journey around all the, most epic and popular places around the island, that will unfortunately mean also the most crowded spots. And that's why most people end up driving from one crowded spot to another, basically skipping everything in between, which in my opinion are the real gems. But the story is different if you have, say, 2 weeks here. That way you can combine both. You can tick off the famous highlights and then enjoy the more slower paced days, exploring all these remote areas. That's what I personally do, and it is the way to have the more balanced experience. I still do visit the crowded places, like I always say, they got popular for a reason. But also, honestly, most of my experiences are exploring remote areas like this. So this basically proves once again what I've been saying in so many of my videos, that you can have a very famous waterfall and then literally 2-minute drive away you can have this beauty and there is literally nobody there. I'm the only person here. Check this out, this is just amazing. And I also think that this is where the pendulum is starting to swing in this next chapter of tourism in Iceland. And we'll see this becoming more of a trend. But also it is honestly something that I would recommend to those of you who have already visited Iceland and who have seen all these beautiful highlights. What I'm talking about here is really where you pick a certain part of Iceland and you spend most of your time there. And that way you can truly slow down and experience, a quiet side of Iceland. And this really gives you the ability to take drives through these scenic fjords, sit in local cafes, take some hikes and do all these kind of activities that truly allow you to recharge your batteries. And this is what it's all about. And so what can you actually take away from this video? Well, honestly, it's this. Don't listen to people's comments about how much has Iceland changed, and don't let it discourage you from visiting or making you any less excited about your trip. It's purely their fault that they didn't do any research or that they didn't manage their expectations accordingly. If there is one thing that I can promise you, it is that Iceland will completely blow your mind, no matter how many people are here. And if you have already planned a shorter trip and planned your entire journey around these popular spots, it is completely okay. Why? Well, honestly, I think that every first time visitor should experience them anyway, no matter how crowded they are. And what usually happens is that this trip will open your eyes to how much there is to see here, and you'll most likely start planning your next one before you even leave. And the next trip can be the one where you get to explore all the off the beaten path locations since you have already seen all the highlights. But for now, the best thing that you can do is to probably try to fit at least one detour to your trip if you can. Just something that will take you at least a little bit away from the ring road, or maybe just a hike somewhere. Something that gives you just a little taste of what it's like to be out here, surrounded by these breathtaking views with no one else around for miles.